Welcome back to Let's Talk Careers with Miss V. I'm so excited to bring another incredible guest. Today we are speaking with Mr. Bansan Thomas George, who is the founder and CEO of Unique World Robotics here in Dubai, and he's the managing director of Synergen Group India, who has been rebuilding the technosphere for more than a decade. How are you today, Bansan?
Good, Maria. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's good to be with you, and it is a great day.
I mean, there's so much that we can jump into with your career. I know that you're a passionate engineer and you've embarked on this journey to prepare the young generation for future careers. But before we talk about how you help the youth, I thought we could take you back to when you were a teenager and what you found interesting. I know that you went into your bachelor's degree and you did electronics and communication engineering, but where did it all begin for you? When did you know that that was what you wanted to do?
Okay, when I was doing my bachelor's in engineering, kind of like second year, I understood one thing. Technology is something is very interesting for me, but at the very same time, I don't want to put myself into the shoes of a proper technical guy. Rather, I would love to use technology as a platform to solve the problems. So that was my thought process during my second year onward. So my entire vision got into networking, got into understanding about how the industry works. So I used to attend a lot of conferences, a lot of seminars. I mean, there were no webinars at that time, so mostly all the seminars that you go attend, conferences. Uh, it was like more understanding the market, understanding different people, and understanding different companies. So that was I was doing when I was in second year. That no, I kept on doing it till my final year of engineering, and once I completed my engineering, then yes, it was a thought process at that time when I was in 2010 in my home country in India. The startup ecosystem culture was just beginning. Uh, People were not giving enough support at that time. Like now, we talk about a lot of unicorns, you talk about a lot of companies, startups, but like at that time, I was little hesitant to jump into a company in the very beginning. Rather, I just went on working with an organization for a couple of months. I would say, I mean, it's just like some 12, 10 months I worked with that organization. Then what I did was I started my own company back in India. So it went really well for around 5, 6 years. Then 2016, and I slowly moved into robotics and AI. So then, like 2 years, I run my company back in India. Then slowly moved to Dubai because Dubai is the land of opportunity. So that was one thing, and the government is so supportive. That's how I moved to Dubai.
That's an incredible journey, but I want to go backwards even more. Young teenagers today are really, they're becoming very anxious about making those choices. When you were 15, 16, did you have support or did you know engineering? That's for me.
Okay, that is a very good question because at the age of 15, 16, the support which I was getting from the school at that time, it was just for the academics. If you ask me if you want to do something out of the box, it is not an easy task. Rather, I would say it is all like the self initiative that I've taken over with my friends to go out and understand a lot of activities that's happening. Yes, I don't say that the school doesn't give any opportunity, but like it's rather more inclined towards the academics. Whatever is related to academics, yes, you are getting opportunity. But beyond that, it was all self-initiative.
That's incredible because not only are you an engineer, but you're the owner of a company, and those are completely different, or to a young person, they sound like completely different streams of learning and of going into the career. Would you say that engineering helped you on the journey of being an entrepreneur, or would you
Uh,
have done something different?
Very much. I mean, if you give me one more opportunity, if I time travel back to 2006, trust me, I would have opted the same course. Okay, if I get an opportunity, I might choose a different college or like, because of the exposure. Uh, even though my college gave me enough exposure, always man are greedy, so I might look into some other organization. But like I would not change my engineering stream because it is that particular course which made me understand that I can stretch like this. Because 8 semesters, 64 subjects, you do three exams every semester on the same subject. You have the like the you have each semester three exams, then model, then university exam. It was crazy, to be very frank. But like we learned how to manage a lot of things. See, even though I'm not a good person who can draw well, I could convince my friends to draw for me in my in my lab reports. And also it was all about managing things, managing the resource and talent. So which was something that I was doing when I was in college or school itself. The same thing that I'm doing right now, because technically speaking, I have like 9, 10 engineers who are working with me. So they are more talented technically than me, but like I'm able to manage them, use their skills to make it useful for the company. So all these skill set I've learned from engineering. So I would not change at any point this stream which I've studied.
And as you're an entrepreneur, and I'm going to keep going into that role of an entrepreneur, because I think young people have this assumption that to be an entrepreneur, you have to study business, you have to know those elements, but you went a different path. So, as an entrepreneur, what are some of the upskills that you had to do after you started the company?
I mean, it's an amazing question. That's what I feel. Because like entrepreneurship, I mean, if you look around, you have multiple programs now focusing on entrepreneurship, like where you even have like courses which gives you orientation towards how to run a family business. So for me, entrepreneurship is nothing but a mindset. It's a mindset that differentiate you from a normal person, because the moment you decide in your mind you want to be an entrepreneur, see, that is the moment you realize that you have to think out of the box and do a lot of things. When I started my first company, I mean, I had only one more person in that organization when I started. So you are the CEO of the company, and you are the peon of the company. You are the sweeper of the company. You are the marketing person of the company. So I mean, I would say in that perspective, if you start from very scratch, when it's a bootstrap model, trust me, you will learn a lot of aspects of a company. So one mindset, one thought process that came to my mind is that I was not hesitant to do any job which is required for the organization. Uh, it's not like, okay, I started the company, I invested quite good amount, then I should not do this, do that. No, for me, when I started, I decided no starting something, then I that then and there itself I decided, okay, everything, if required, I'll do it. Obviously, if as and when company grow, we have like at some point of time in my Indian company, I had around 72 employees, like no before COVID, and obviously COVID had its own impact on the way that we were doing, but like it's all about like having the proper mindset. And yes, few skills which I have focused and developed is that, see, delegating your work with the right people is a very important skill set that you need to have as an entrepreneur. Because when you are engineer, when you are an entrepreneur, sometimes you tend to do things by yourself, but that is not the right thing. So you have to find out the right talent and assign the right talent with the right task, and then trust me, you can see the success of the company coming in the due course.
What subjects would you encourage students to pay more attention to if they're wearing the hat of an engineer? Obviously, the maths and the physics. Would there be any other subject? And then again, because you're an entrepreneur, what additional subjects would you encourage them if they wanted that mix?
Yeah, so instead of calling like engineers, I would love to call them as innovators. If they have that kind of a thought process to get into the career of innovation, technology, engineering, yes. So I right now deal with nothing but STEM. So in that thought process, yes, it's very important to have very good technical know-how in math, physics, in science. That's very important. But at the very same time, it's so important that uh, you do very well in the other subjects too. Because see, people very wrongly think that, okay, if you want to become an engineer, okay, I'll learn only physics and math very well. Rest subjects is not, it's out of focus. But I would say like it's so important to learn. If you have interest in economics, I would suggest a person to read books in the field of economics. Why? Because economics and math is a very good combination. When it comes to engineering management, it's a good thing. So it's all about like how you want to position yourself. See, when I took engineering, my thought process was not, as I said, not just to become engineer. Rather, I want to get into the management aspect of it. So for me, like economics was some subject like I was really interested in. And obviously language of, I mean, in Dubai, I don't want to mention that specifically, but like obviously more languages, it's more good. Because I mean, you have to work with a lot of clients. You think that you work in only in Dubai, because for example, last two, I mean, 5 4 5 days before, we were in Brazil, and we were dealing with people in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. But trust me, without the Google Translate, we would have done nothing there, because I hardly find one person who can speak Portuguese as well as English very well. So it was very difficult. So it's good to have languages also with you. It's a very powerful tool.
And those are great tips for a young person thinking of what else they can do to be competitive in the world of work. Now, I want to jump into the unique world of robotics. You're the founder and CEO. Tell us what the organization does and how it helps the youth.
Thank you, Maria, for like asking that question, because for me, always Unique World Robotics is my own baby. So I'm so close to that organization. So when I was doing my having my company back in India, so we were into robotics and AI. So I understood the relevance of having right education in robotics and AI, because uh, if you look around, we you have options, but like it's very rare that you have solid people in UAE itself who can do really well in robotics and AI. So that skill set has to be increased. So having said that, the government, especially Sheikh Mohammed, had announced, I mean, 3 years back, they are looking for GDP of around more than 10 percentage to come from AI and robotics, or they're announcing 100,000 golden visa for coders. All that means that government is so focused on robotics and AI. At the very same time, they lack resources within the country. So this was something that struck me, and I thought like, see, always we depend on resources from outside. Why not we have resources within the country for the citizens of UAE, for the local people out over here, as well as the expats who are living in UAE? Why not we have a platform where you can learn from scratch? Imagine, like Maria, if you want to learn AI, I mean, age is not a factor. So at any point of time, anyone who really interested in robotics and AI, come to a space where you can learn from the very basic age appropriate programs to make you a proper AI engineer or a robotics engineer, a person who can completely design a robot by yourself and completely do the prototype, 3D print it, do all the electronics, do all the coding of it. So this is what I have like, visioned, and the concept is like anybody can build a robot, and our tagline is be future ready. So we believe that we are making future ready generation who can solve problem using the latest technologies like robotics, AI, and other stuff.
That's really interesting, especially in the UAE with the government just announcing, an indication of potentially 40,000 new jobs being created for the metaverse. How did that enhance the programs that you are leading, knowing that the government is moving in that direction?
I mean, actually, the Metaverse strategy announced by Sheikh Hamdan was a great boost for like the activities that we were doing because even when I call my company, robotics and AI company, we used to teach students 3D modeling, how to make game development activities are happening here. So a lot of stuffs were happening in that perspective also. So when it comes to metaverse, so we had like courses on VR, we had courses on AR. Right now we are like coming up with like programs which helps people to have skills in metaverse too. So in that perspective, so it was a great boost for people like us who were like trying to educate the parent community that there is so much relevance for the kids, the students, be it a school student or a university student, to learn all these things. Because rather than like playing games, why don't you make your own game? Rather than playing with the VR or AR content, why not create your own AR and VR content? So that is what we try to tell the parent community, and we believe that we had like succeeded quite well in educating them because of the government support and everything. But like people like you, uh, when you talk on these kind of aspects, obviously people listening to these kind of shows will clearly understand that there is relevance of these things, because this skill set is becoming kind of a mandatory thing, as if the computer become a mandatory skill subject for everyone 20 years back. So now coding, this kind of like programs are very very important, and it is becoming kind of a mandatory thing for people who want to succeed in life and technology for sure.
So, if a parent is watching this right now and they have a young teenager who doesn't really know what they want to be doing for their career, but enjoys maths and sciences, enjoys those STEM subjects, but might not be very academic, what would you encourage them to do?
Okay, Maria, like thank you so much for that question, because to develop the skill set over here, academics, it is not mandatory that they have, I mean, all A levels or high scores. No, trust me, if they have, the first thing what we look for is that their genuine interest. If they have genuine interest, trust me, we have high qualified engineers, trainers who can make them experts in this. The main reason why I would say, even if the kid is not a teenager is not great with their academics, over here it's a skill subject. So the best part is that, for example, if we are teaching someone 3D modeling, when they do a particular activity, the very next moment they are able to see the result of it. So when they are able to see the result of it, there is a psychological thing that's happening within them. So they generally creates interest by themselves, because I teach you 2 hours something. In the third hour, you're making that product in front of you. You might be able to 3D print that particular model. You might be able to give life to a robot which you have designed and programmed. So this is the only subject in the world which can give you that kind of a psychological, like morale boost, where you learn, you do, immediately you get the result. Math, you learn geometry. I mean, when you are like, I mean, the coordinates, I'm using Google Map only when I'm out of the school. So I don't apply the geometry in my real life regularly. So this is something that is very very important, and these subjects are very good for people, even though their academics is not that great, or even if it's great. The only thing is that they need to have real interest. If they have real interest, there are ways to teach them in depth.
That's incredible. I really appreciate that you indicated that it's not just for those academically strong students, because I think sometimes a young person gives up when they think that their grades aren't high enough or that they're not smart enough. But what you're saying is, if they have a genuine interest, that your trainers can help build on that interest and get them excited. And the idea of they're learning and they're actually creating something immediately takes learning to a whole different level, which I think is very exciting. Let's transfer some of those skills into the world of work. the skills of building these robots, of learning how to code, how do you see those skills as competitive for a young person in whatever type of career they want to go into?
So, I mean, that is one major benefit of doing any STEM activity, any robotics or any coding activity in your school time. Because people think that, okay, if I learn coding, I will develop that skill alone. Trust me, Maria, one parent once told me, because of learning robotics and coding over here, that parent's daughter, she is a student of a school over here in Dubai, and that student said, the parent said that, I mean, like with a lot of gratitude, she said that her daughter could do really well in Islamic studies, like in Arabic subject, they could do really well. And I was shocked, to be very frank. I had no idea how it helped. So the parents said that the spatial recognition, because that student is not from a uh, Arab language background, so she have to learn things as a new subject. So it helped her a lot. So what I'm trying to say is that that's not the major thing we have to convey. For example, when you do a robot over here, when you make a robot over here, the logical thinking that comes into the brainstorming session that you do with the trainers, the critical thinking that you are having on developing a particular design is something that is amazing, and that is useful for you in your daily life also, or your uh, taking decisions in your life. For example, we have the competitions like first Lego League or first Tech Challenge, World Robot Olympiad, NASA Space App Challenge, because we are national champions for all these competitions. So when 10 students, 5 students sit together to plan for a design of a robot, 10 suggestions comes in. So they logically debate on each design. They'll tell, okay, this is lot of reasoning happening there, lot of debating happening there, and they come to a conclusion. And their conclusion is very strategic, because the competition has to perform some task, so they compare all these possibilities and come up with a conclusion. So it is not just the technical skills that's been developed, but rather the most important thing we have seen is that the life skills. It's I see a lot of changes in students over here. Not only me, like the parents come and say that they use this word, Benson. After the one or two courses with us, they say that, Benson, we are giving our kids into your hands, because we are so happy that they have transformed from a normal student who was listening to the commands of their parents or their overprotected environment, to a point where they themselves traveled all the way to Brazil. And trust me, Maria, we had 9 kids, out of which we had 8 boys and 1 girl, and the parent of that girl child also didn't come. So you understand, to Brazil.
And I love that you brought this up because that was where I was going with my next question. What is the gender divide in the groups that you see coming through?
Maria, like um in this particular team which won the competition, yes, we had only 1 girl, but at the very same time, in the same competition, I had a team of 7 members, out of which 6 were girls alone. So earlier, I would say the percentage of girls coming into STEM was were less, but it had reasonably increased. But even then, I would say, I don't say it's equal. It has to be increased a little bit more. Need to give more importance. I don't know whether people have a thought process that this is more uh, with boys. No, we have lady instructors also. We have uh, male instructors here also. But the number of girls who can do well in STEM has to increase. So there should be enough, like, kind of support awareness from the society, so that we have more girls coming into STEM.
I agree with you. I think it's not just the responsibility of one institution. It is, like you said, it's society to want to try and encourage girls. What's your tip to get more girls to want to be part of this?
So we have like a lot of special days for STEM, uh, these kind of activities. So I mean, really recommend or suggest, like, schools or even like some organizations who can, like, conduct some kind of uh, free workshops, where like people come and do the hands-on. See, when you do something and understand that this is only this much. So sometimes people have a thought process, okay, this is too much, it's very difficult. No, I cannot do the 3D printing, I cannot do in-depth coding, it's very difficult. Trust me, Maria, this is very, very easy if you have the right interest. See, it's all about your passions. If you have that interest, uh, there are like no there are people who can easily do things. So it's all about, as I said, the interest, and we should give them opportunity. So we over here like always conduct, I mean, I don't say that every now and then I'm able to conduct, but like when once or twice in a year we conduct workshops, free workshops for like girls who are interested in 3D printing, robotics, coding, and they can come over here for a 1 day workshop and they can do and learn. Then once they're interested, once they feel that okay, this is something that I can do, then they can join for these courses and excel in this domain.
That sounds amazing. Just as we're bringing our conversation to a wrap, what would you say are your top three tips for a young person planning their future career based on the experiences that you've had this far?
Maria, like I would recommend everyone in UAE, because UAE we have 1.1 million students in the K-12 segment, 5 to 18. I would recommend everyone to do once some STEM activity. I'll tell you the reason. It's not because that I do something, because here comes the innovation part. Because when we had this COVID, we all understood that no, you had to use something out of the box to survive in the market. Market in the sense, not just the company alone. Like if you want to learn, you have to think out of the box and do something new. That's how you started the online classes and other things, even though these technologies were there earlier, but like we come up with a lot of new things. So innovation is something that has to be there with everyone. So whenever, we don't know, Maria, like next time it can be, instead of COVID, some other thing can be there. It not be a disease, or it can be any challenge. So whenever you face a hurdle, if you have the right innovative mentality, that mindset, you'll be able to come up with solution. So I would tell every parent, everyone, every student who is listening to me, you need to do some STEM activity at some point of time, so that you come up, you learn that skill of innovation. That's one important thing. Second, what I feel that, get exposure. See, I know your school's doing a lot of activities, lot of things. That's good. At the very same time, go out of the school also. See, because every school will have a particular mindset, so we have to see the other aspects, other side of the story also, other thought process also. So go out of the school, get to understand what others are thinking, others are doing. If you are in a British curriculum, try to see what the American curriculum kids are doing, what the Indian curriculum kids are doing, what the MOE curriculum students are doing, whatever it is. So try to have that because Dubai is one place you have that opportunity of that multicultural exposure, where we have, I believe, more than 190 or 180 countries is being represented in one city. So that is something, it's a great opportunity for us, but we have to make use of it. And the last, with the right knowledge, with right exposure, see, what I feel is that, get whatever with the knowledge that you have done, share it with people, give it to others. When you do that, trust me, your future is going to be set. So generate knowledge, get exposed, share the knowledge with people around. That makes you a different person, and that makes you successful in your life. That's what I believe.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much. How can we find you if we're a parent or a teacher or even a student wanting to join and take some of the courses that you're offering?
Maria, like we are quite active in all the digital spaces. So we have a website, uniqueworldrobotics.com, where you can get to know about the company. In the social media handles, where in LinkedIn, in Instagram, in Facebook, we have our pages and accounts as Unique World Robotics, and our space is we have our lab, which where, like, you can see in background some kids moving here and there. So basically, we have this lab in Karama. We are basically some 300 meters away from Burjuman metro station, so people can walk in here anytime, anytime. And I say we work 7 days a week, except the national holidays. We work on all other days. Our organization works, and we works like morning 9 a.m. Not 9, actually. People start coming here at 8 a.m. till we'll be here by 8 p.m. So it kind of 12 hours we'll be here on a day. So you can come see, talk, dance with the robots we have. If you want to do some 3D modeling, make your own 3D printed stuff, we have 3D printers out here. We have lot of equipments. We use around 30 plus robotic kits over here, around 7 plus robots also over here, where students can come and interact.
Fantastic. Sounds so exciting. Thank you for being with me today and taking the time to talk about your career and introduce Unique World Robotics. And that brings us right to the end of another incredible conversation. If you're a young person, a parent, or a teacher thinking about a future career, and you're interested in the STEM subjects, or maybe you're not and you've never really tried it, this is definitely a conversation that you want to be picking up with your children or with yourself at home. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at my next Let's Talk Careers with Miss V.